member for Wellington Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, the government has had 24 hours to get some basic facts about the PRC diplomats' targeting of MPs. So here's my question. On September 10th, 2019, the Public Safety Minister issued a directive to CSIS ordering the service to inform the Minister of any matter or action of interest to the Minister. When was the Public Safety Minister or his office first made aware that a PRC diplomat, Mr. Wei Zhao, was targeting me or my family?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, since this is the first occasion in which the member for Wellington Halton Hills has raised since this matter was brought to the attention of the public in this chamber, I want to express solidarity to him and to his family, and that we will continue to work with him and all parliamentarians to make sure that he and all parliamentarians get the support that they need. Mr. Speaker, since the outset, when we took the reins of government, we have been vigilant in fighting against foreign interference. We have put in place the people, the resources, the tools, and the oversight, as the Prime Minister just said, to defend our institutions. We will do that work together.
Before we go to the next question, I want to remind honourable members that calling each other names is not parliamentary language. The honourable member for Wellington Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, the directive of September 10th, 2019 is clear. It directs the service. It says that the service has a duty to inform the Minister of any such matter as is relevant to enable the Minister to fulfill the Minister's accountabilities as outlined in the CSIS Act. In general terms, the Minister expects to be consulted or informed regarding any action on which a deputy head would normally involve his or her minister. So my question again is very simple. When did the Public Safety Minister or his office first become aware that a PRC diplomat was targeting a member of this House and their family?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague across the aisle for highlighting the directives that this government has put in place to ensure transparency and accountability around decisions which are taken independently by our nonpartisan professional public servants when it comes to which classified information is made public and which must remain classified to protect the people that work in that space. Mr. Speaker, this is not a partisan issue. We must all work together to defend the institutions, the communities, and most importantly, the parliamentarians who serve those institutions to protect our democracy.
Well, member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, what a gutless response. What if that happened to that minister's family? I have the same question. When did he know?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I've just said, it is our nonpartisan, independent public servants who make decisions around operations, including which classified information is made public. And for good reason. It is important that we protect the people that work in those institutions, not only to protect our national security, but to protect the people that work within these institutions, including parliamentarians. And Mr. Speaker, let me just say, it is outrageous to make the claim that any member of Parliament would stand for any attack on any parliamentarian. We are united against fighting against foreign interference.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
When did he know?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague can continue to ask the same question. She will get the same answer. But it is this government, Mr. Speaker, that has raised the bar on transparency when it comes to protecting our institutions by creating a committee of parliamentarians, by creating INSIRA. By the way, Mr. Speaker, I would point out the Conservatives had nearly 10 years to create those institutions. They never did. So rather than suggesting that we stand up, I suggest they now stand up and get behind the cause of the government so we can protect all parliamentarians and our institutions.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable. Mr. Speaker, on September 10, 2021, CSIS got a directive to inform the Minister of Public Safety of any fact regarding foreign interference, Mr. Speaker. I'll ask a simple question to the Minister of Public Safety. When did he know that a member of this House had been threatened by a Beijing diplomat? The Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, with respect, the same question, the same answer. The government increased the level of transparency with the creation of a committee of parliamentarians to study issues that affect national security with the creation of NCIRA, and we will continue to collaborate with all members to protect our institutions and, more important than that, all the members who work in this institution to protect democracy. That's the most important. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. When did the Minister know? The Honourable Minister. Same question, same answer. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Trois-Rivières. Mr. Speaker, things are going well today, no? The Liberals will lecture anyone who questions them about foreign interference, about democratic values. But let's talk about democratic values. The Prime Minister was warned by CSIS that China was threatening an MP and his family. Any Democrat, any person in a democratic institution would have let that member know, whether they be Conservative, Liberal, Bloc, or NDP, but the Prime Minister chose to keep it secret. Mr. Speaker, by prioritizing secrecy over the safety of a family, he crossed a line. When will there be an independent public inquiry? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, with respect, that's scandalous for the Bloc Québécois to suggest that this government would have been inactive faced with an issue like this that was affecting a member and his family. That's why the government created tools to fight foreign interference, to make sure that we keep everyone who works in our institutions safe, and we will remain vigilant. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Trois-Rivières. Mr. Speaker, CSIS had warned that Beijing sees Canada as a high-priority target for interference. And obviously, because it's easy for China. China was able to get close to the Prime Minister through the Trudeau Foundation. China was able to get close to the Liberals at their own fundraiser cocktails at $1,500 a glass during their first mandate. And when China got caught by CSIS threatening a member's family, the Liberals kept it secret. Do the Liberals realize that it's their fault that China sees interference in Canada as easy as taking candy from a baby? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I had already explained, this government has been very proactive in meeting the challenge of foreign interference. That's why we gave more powers to CSIS. That's why we introduced Bill C-76 to fight foreign contributions which could threaten our institutions. And we will continue to do this important work to protect our institutions, to protect Canadians, and to protect all Canadians. The Honourable Member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, why are we talking about this still today? Well, it's because the Liberals prefer a culture of secrecy over shining light on this situation. It's in their culture to keep this secret, and that's why foreign interference is growing. China's work with the Trudeau Foundation, secret. China's interference in Canada, secret. Threats against the family of an MP, secret. From the beginning, the Prime Minister could have shed light on this with a public independent inquiry. Is he going to continue to sink under the weight of his secrets and drag down the Liberal Party with him? The Honourable Minister of Interparliamentary Affairs. Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows very well that our government, from the very beginning, has taken the questions of threats and foreign interference very seriously. We've introduced a number of measures, and starting in the beginning months of our mandate, and we have strengthened over the following months and years those efforts. And the good news is that the Right Honourable David Johnston is working right now. He will make independent recommendations. He knows the facts, and the government will act to strengthen the measures.
Member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
To the gutless minister, when did he find out?
I just want to remind the honourable members that unparliamentary language is not welcome in the chamber. Calling people names is not permitted. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. I just want to remind the honourable member the next time I'm going to have to take this question away from him. The honourable member for Calgary and Forest Lawn.
When did the minister find out that a member of this House was threatened by a foreign diplomat from Beijing? When?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives continue to pose the same question. They're going to get the same answer. But at the very core of the premise of those questions is the suggestion that somehow this government doesn't care about the Honourable Member for Wellington Halton Hills. Nothing could be further from the truth. We may have disagreements in this chamber about domestic and foreign policy, but we will always stand united behind every member's right to do their job, to represent their constituencies, because that is the fundamental value of standing up for democracy, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
For the 8th time, when did the minister find out? When?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, since we continue to get the same question in a broken record format, let me highlight exactly what it is that we are doing to combat foreign interference. We introduced Bill C-59 to give CSIS additional threat reduction measure powers. We introduced Bill C-76 to crack down on foreign funding. We introduced the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians so we could work across partisan lines. And we finally introduced, Mr. Speaker, NSIRA to ensure transparency on how we do this work to Canadians. What's the distinction, Mr. Speaker? We did those things the Conservatives opposed.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, the answer is unfortunately not reflective of the question that we are asking. So we'll ask a simple question once again. When did Cabinet and the Minister know that a member of this House of Commons had been the victim of threats from Beijing? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I've already explained many times now, decisions affecting what information is shared publicly or not is made by our public servants who work in an independent, nonpartisan way. And yes, I will work with the member for Wellington Halton Hills with a briefing to make sure that he gets the information he needs and to reassure him that the government is there to protect not only him, but everyone who works in this House.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. The question is very simple and requires a clear answer. When did the government find out that the communist regime in Beijing was threatening House of Commons elected officials? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I think that at this point, my honourable colleague understands the answer. I hope that he and all of his colleagues will change their opinion about national security issues and support this government's initiatives. We have created new authorities. We have worked toward increasing transparency. We are working to protect all democratic institutions and all those who work at those institutions.